The Indian government is keen to roll out the new indirect tax regime, GST, Goods and Services Tax, from as it says currently July 1st, 2017. We all know it intends on bringing uniformity and a certain gain to manufacturers as well as exporters. But before getting into the details of compliance, some of us would like to primarily gain clarity on how does GST affect us and what is it exactly that we are to do about it. Ladies and gentlemen, our KPIT Thought Leadership podcast for today looks at addressing just that. We have with us our thought leader, Rishikesh Kanegaonkar, practice leader, solutions tools, and subject matter expert, energy and utilities, to talk to us. Welcome, Rishi. A lot of companies today are dealing with what exactly needs to be done for the new compliance demands, be it from solution readiness perspective or from the much needed sufficient knowledge of GST laws. Can you briefly throw some light on the upside and the potential downside for the businesses?
Sure, let's take a few examples. For pharma companies, GST will simplify the tax structure as currently 8 different taxes are levied. There's going to be a reduction in the transaction costs due to discontinuance of the central sales tax. So, what are the unknowns? Until now, life saving drugs were exempt from excise and customs duties. It's not clear how GST will influence free drug samples or bonus schemes or interstate movements of expired goods. So these customers are looking at SMEs to revalidate the GST tax positions in such cases. The second example is FMCG customers. These companies could generate substantial savings in logistics and distribution costs. Currently, they are paying 24 to 25%, including excise duty, VAT, and entry tax, whereas in the post-GST regime, it's going to be around 17 to 19%, and that could significantly reduce the taxes. On the flip side though, a few of these companies that enjoy concessional rate of excise may see an increase in tax because some of these goods could be non-exempt. So the GST solution should be scalable enough to address all such requirements, be it exempt goods or non-exempt goods. The third example is around e-commerce. The tax collection at source guidelines in the GST regime will increase administration and documentation workload for a few firms and definitely push up these costs. So companies may need advisory services in filing returns, reporting, reconciliation, and services around those, to name a few. Technologically also, it calls for a robust system that eases such of these requirements and calls for data validation and reconciliation features to be part of the system. We have been helping over 50 of our customers across India, across industries on GST so far, and we believe what most of our customers need today is a one-stop solution covering GST assessment, GST implementation, reconciliation, and reporting, the end-to-end cycle. We have seen the difference an industry domain experience or a subject matter expert can bring in through the entire process and the entire value chain, thus enabling a customer.
While you mentioned this process spectrum of assessment, implementation, and post implementation across these various sectors, what is that key factor you think one should be aware of that would make this compliance process relatively seamless?
Well, industry domain knowledge is the key. The perfect combination of domain and technology skills, both on SAP and Oracle, will do the trick. Also, the ability to execute this record to report cycle end to end is needed. At our end, for example, we being a one-stop shop, a holistic approach gets offered to the customer right from the impact assessment phase up to the recommended approach for the last mile connection for the transactional data to be uploaded to the GSTN website. Our offering is aligned to both the SAP and Oracle product patch. Additionally, the Center of Excellence for India GST ensures thought leadership and sharing of best practices across projects. There are going to be phases in the implementation cycle where we will be required to reuse components or to build custom components to specific customer needs, and all of this is done to accelerate the implementation program.
That is interesting to know. Now, from timelines perspective, what exactly would you suggest as the immediate overall next step towards compliance?
We are in the final stretch now, gearing up for go live on the 1st of July. The laws will get finalized by the end of March, which leaves us around 12 to 13 weeks to implement and enable the solution. Essentially, this is going to be a two-step approach. Step 1 is adopting the solution patch, that the principal product companies SAP and Oracle will release, and installing and configuring the business transactions around it. Step 2 is going to be understanding the business processes and assessing the impact of the GST laws on those business processes and the solution design for the to be state. This is going to include elements like master data, configurations, cutover impact to understand how to handle transactions that would be encountered during the cutover period, business documents like the invoice print objects that would require modifications or the shipping documents that would require modifications, the reporting element, and the reconciliation. Also, customers are going to think about a month or a couple of months of hypercare period for support where they would ensure that the system is stable and achieves the desired end state.
So essentially, we see from analyzing the impact, assessing the requirement, investigating the migration issues, implementing, to the final post implementation and the post go live system stability, it all begins with having a clear roadmap in place. Thank you for your time today, Rishi. We hope our inputs help our audience, and we will be glad to share further insights into what the industry is doing in its GST roadmap, as well as the customized solutions that can help you in your compliance journey. For any specific questions, comments you might have, please write to us on pointofview@kpit.com. Thank you for joining us today. This is Jayada Pandit, KPIT Technologies.